Ah! Tadashi screamed in pain. His sword clattered to the ground. He jolted, falling against me. I staggered under his weight as he slumped, his face pressed against my chest, his hand gripping my sleeve. If we fell here, we would get caught. I growled and grabbed his arm, pulling him up forcefully. Tadashi's cry was muffled against my shirt, his whole body trembling. I slung his arm over my shoulder and half-carried him towards the riverbank. 3 more steps. We leaped into the river. Tadashi's grip loosened and he went under. I hauled him back up, gasping for air as we surfaced. His breathing was ragged, his face ashen. "Hurry, before their reinforcements arrive," I hissed, ignoring the arrow protruding from his shoulder. I swam as hard as I could against the strong current. The river carried us out of the black forest. My back burned with exhaustion, my swimming slowing. Tadashi was quiet, the rasps of his breath sounded painful. Several times his grip weakened, and I snarled at him to stay conscious. I was on the verge of passing out when I saw torchlight flickering on the riverbank. Temple ruins. Finally! I dragged us ashore, half-throwing Tadashi onto the grass. I collapsed beside him, gasping for air on the damp ground. My head pounded, every part of my body ached. I lay still, staring up at the stars. I didn't remember anything about Mother. She'd died when I was 4. Since then, Shiro and Tadashi raised me. Shiro had been like a mother, feeding me, teaching me, training me in the dojo. Tadashi. He read me bedtime stories. He held me when I had nightmares. He carried me everywhere. He walked me to school and played with me. He picked me up when I fell and treated my wounds when I got hurt. He let me mess up his room while he studied. He listened to my chatter during dinner. He checked and praised my training progress, then corrected my mistakes and weaknesses. With him, I felt special. He never forced me to master any particular technique. I never felt like I had to be the best to make him proud. I felt accepted for who I was. His presence calmed me. He was a father, a brother, and a friend to me. That's why when he left a gaping hole in my heart, like a wound that wouldn't heal. He'd hurt me, and I'd wanted him to hurt in return. It seemed my wish had come true. I looked at Tadashi. He was still lying face down on the ground, unmoving. The arrow was still embedded in his back. His body trembled. His face was pale and contorted in pain. His eyes were closed. Had he fainted? "Tadashi?" I murmured, my gaze tracing the arrow's path. Could it have hit something vital? Depending on the type of arrow, its depth, and its location, an arrow wound could be serious. Somehow, seeing him suffer like this didn't make me feel any better. He'd saved me, multiple times. He wouldn't have done that if I meant nothing to him. He didn't want me to die. And I realized I didn't want him to die either. Tadashi's eyelids fluttered open, and he answered me in a weak whisper. "Yes?" A silent plea echoed in my mind, unable to voice it to Tadashi. My voice caught in my throat, refusing to come out. "Don't die, don't die, don't die, don't leave me alone. I must have been silent too long." Tadashi's cold fingers brushed my arm, his expression worried. "I won't leave you, Rito." His words echoed in my mind, a warmth spreading through my chest, tightening my throat and making it hard to breathe. I clenched my fists and looked away. Gingerly, I sat up and grabbed my medicine pouch, then swallowed 2 more painkillers. I also injected an ibuprofen ampoule into Tadashi's arm. "I'm going to check the arrow," I said, my voice steadier now. Tadashi closed his eyes briefly, then gave a slight nod. I tore open Tadashi's kimono to examine the wound. The arrow was lodged near his left shoulder blade. Only half the arrowhead had penetrated his armor. It must have been a long shot. It was a plain iron arrow, about 3 centimeters long, without barbs. It didn't seem to have hit any bones. I handed Tadashi a rolled-up piece of kimono to bite down on. "It's not too deep." "I'm pulling it out," Tadashi cried out as I pulled the arrow free, then fainted. I let out my breath. Better this than him enduring the pain while I treated the wound. I cut his inner kimono into bandages, then removed his armor and undershirt. Tadashi looked thinner than I remembered. His ribs were bruised, his back crisscrossed with long, whip-like welts, red and inflamed. The pieces clicked into place. Tadashi had left disguised as a poor farmer. He must have removed and hidden his armor in Kusarigama somewhere, then infiltrated the Koga clan as a slave. He received those whip marks there. Tadashi managed to steal the bracelet, they discovered him, and he'd been running ever since. If the bracelet was valuable, the Mitsurugi being after it too made sense. I nodded, the theory fitting. But the sight of his back, it made my stomach churn. I quickly packed the arrow wound, bandaging his shoulder tightly with strips of kimono. His armor was ruined, but his undershirt, despite the bloodstains, was still usable. I took off my haori and draped it over him. After I gathered my things, I woke him. Tadashi sat half-conscious for several minutes, his gaze fixed on my haori. I waited until he seemed more alert, then stood. "Can you walk?" I asked, my voice gentler than I expected. Tadashi looked up, his eyes glistening. The ibuprofen was a low dose, just enough to take the edge off. He still couldn't use his left arm. I offered my hand. He reached for it slowly, and I helped him up. "I'll help you find Saki," I said firmly, "and you're coming home, mission or not." Tadashi didn't answer, but he could barely stand, so I assumed he agreed. I didn't know what he needed to do to finish his mission, but my mind was made up. If he didn't ask for my help, then I wouldn't push him to talk about his missions either. We walked slowly. I noticed the temple ruins and headed towards them, hoping for shelter. I needed to make sure it was safe, but the sword was back by the river. All I had were a few shuriken. We were poorly armed, but I wasn't backing down. Finding no sign of enemies around the perimeter, we cautiously entered the temple ruins. The temple floor sloped downwards, with stairs flanking on either side. In the center, Saki was tied to a pillar, gagged and bleeding. A circle of red flames blazed around her. "Saki," I shouted. "No, don't," Tadashi hissed, grabbing my arm. I yanked free and ran towards Saki. Everything happened at once. Ninjas emerged from behind the pillars surrounding us. A fireball struck Tadashi from behind, sending him crashing to the ground. 2 clan heirs in one trap. "Pathetic," a voice sneered from above. A figure dropped from a beam in the ceiling, landing on Tadashi's back. "Hello, Tadashi. I hear you killed my brother. Oda?" Shock pulsed through me. "Wait your turn, Yukito," Oda said coldly. "I have business with this scum." He stomped on Tadashi's back, his heel grinding into the bandaged shoulder. Tadashi screamed, then another kick to his ribs silenced him. Rage burned through me. I clenched my fists, wanting to attack, but I was surrounded. "Search him," Oda ordered to his men, his arms folded. He turned to me, a cold smile twisting his lips. "A week ago, your damn clan sent my brother to retrieve the royal bracelet from Koga headquarters. I don't know how the Koga found it, but the king is offering a reward for its return," Oda explained. "Wealth and power. So, naturally, we wanted it." "Wait, how could Oda's brother be on a Masamune mission? Unless your brother infiltrated my clan?" Oda shrugged. "Nothing personal, Yukito. You have no idea how many of your clan are spies in other clans. This idiot infiltrated the Koga easily enough. My brother was in his team, acting as a slave trader. 2 days ago, my scouts reported his death. This idiot killed him. He doesn't have the bracelet," one of Oda's men reported. Oda growled. "Take him to the basement. I'll interrogate him myself." They tied me up next to Saki, leaving us within the circle of fire. Time crawled. I didn't know how long we'd been there when I felt Saki stir. "Saki, help me save Tadashi," I whispered. "They're interrogating him in the basement." Saki only nodded. Damn, I forgot they gagged her. "Hey, are you still wearing your Kakute ring?" I asked in low voice. Saki had a ring inherited from her father, a symbol of the clan heir. The silver ring had 3 sharp points hidden beneath the cover. When closed, it looked like an ordinary ring, but when opened, it could be used as a weapon. Saki's eyes widened in understanding. She quickly opened the ring and sawed at my ropes. I kept watch on the guards around us, 3 guards below the platform, 6 above. Once my hands were free, I untied Saki. With a flick of my wrist, I opened the weapon seal on my wrist sheath. Kunai and a few shuriken. It wasn't much, but it was something. Tadashi had made it for me, a hidden compartment for weapons. Suddenly, a piercing scream echoed from the basement. My heart clenched. "Tadashi!" He sounded like an animal being slaughtered. I stood, throwing my poisoned shuriken. Thwack, thwack, thwack. The 3 guards below collapsed. Shouts of surprise from above. 4 more fell, but 2 escaped, racing down the stairs. I started to jump the circle of fire, but Saki grabbed my arm. "Don't, it's not normal fire," I hissed as my hand brushed the red flames, a searing pain burning to the bone. "Ha! Good thing I hadn't jumped. The 2 guards reached us, extinguishing the flames. Saki moved, a blur of motion, disarming them with deadly precision. She snatched up a naginata. I grabbed a sai and a discarded bow and quiver. We ducked behind a pillar. More guards approached. Then the earth rumbled, the floor cracking beneath the steps, swallowing several guards. Screams of terror filled the air. The Koga had found us. The Ishikawa guards turned to face the new threat. "Yukito, hurry!" The ground shook violently, cracks spreading across the floor. Pillars swayed, stones crumbled. We ran for the basement, scrambling over rubble. I pushed ahead, reaching the torchlit end of the collapsing corridor. The door was locked. Saki kicked it open, splintering the rotten wood. Red torches flickered on the walls. The room was empty. My haori lay discarded on the floor. I snatched it up, my heart pounding. Beneath it, Tadashi's undershirt was stained crimson with blood.